heroin addict that made my behaviour 50 times worse than what I already were. So it was just uncontrollable from there, really. I was robbing everything possible and anyone I could find. I was robbing, whether that would be with a weapon or what. I was doing it. I didn't really care. So I was then, I got hooked on heroin and battled that for a very long time of my life. Which made me lose a lot of people. But I got myself in debt. And what happened were, people that I was obviously serving it up with, ones that I grew up with, I got myself in a couple of $100 debt and I got kidnapped in a car. I got smacked with a shooter, I had a gun put in my mouth, and I got took to this field, beaten, and left naked in the field. And if it weren't for some lady, a dog walker, like literally birthday suited, saved my life, really. I don't even know who she were. But yeah, she saved my life. I don't know how I got out of it, because I thought that was my last time. I literally pissed my pants. I'm not even gonna lie. If anyone gets called up like that, you know, it's mentally like, that's just like what I know what these people are capable of. I know them, you know?
Trying to kill you.
Yeah. But when they put the gun in my mouth, that was the time that it was serious, because I just thought no one was even gonna know where I were. No one was even going to be missing me anyway, because I wasn't in touch with my family, because I'd literally gone off the rails and no one wanted me around, which weren't surprising because I wasn't nice to be around. So no one would have even noticed if I was dead or alive anyway.
What is it like having a gun put to your head or in your head?
It was scary. Literally, like I said, I pissed my pants, because I thought that was my moment. But then when you know, yeah. But they were supposed to be my friends as well, you know? So it was just like, wow.
Mates like that,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I never spoke to them again after that, and they didn't get their money, you know. But from then on, I was going to prison, and like my prison sentence first came in. So it was only like mine. Because obviously I was having to go and pick up drugs. So I burgled my hostel on rent day. So the day that all the rent had to be due in, I went to the store and took all the rent, and then, you know, kept that all for myself. And then I was driving around all like non-insurance, and you know, no tax on cars. But back in them days, it was producer. You know, so I must have had about thousands of producers in my glove box going to score. So I could use two names, and I had my mum's maiden name and I had my dad's name on my birth certificate. So legally, I was able to use the both. So I was getting nicked in Kent, but then every time I got nicked again, I was using Scott. So I'd slip through the net. When I realised I could do that, I'd continue doing it. So I got my first sentence. I got was a 4-month sentence for driving while disqualified ×6, and I went to prison, Glenparva, for the first time, which was nerve-wracking. So I could look after myself, you know, but obviously you're going into a world that you don't know, you know. So it's a bit, when you're on that sweatbox, looking out that black window with everyone at the bus stop, you know, they're carrying on with their lives, and you're going into somewhere like you're just in a really tight space with a really plastic seat, and your ass is hurting, you can't even get comfortable, and you're thinking, where am I going, you know? So yeah, straight into Glenparva. The minute that I walked in there, the place was loud, like instantly, like really, really loud. And the lads that was giving out like the stocks and the boxer shorts at reception and that, and they're massive guys, and they're only my age, but they're huge. And you're thinking, wow, like, is this the kind of people that are in here? Like, this life is not for me.
Hope you're enjoying the podcast. Here's a quick word for our sponsor. You know what that sound means? More sales, rapid on Shopify. What do you think of Shopify, Jen?
I absolutely love Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to sell, grow, and make money for your business.
Have you used it to boost your business?
100%, yeah. So Shopify makes it simple for anyone to sell from anywhere in the world, from creating your online shop in your own look,
to finding new customers, to scaling your burning idea. With no need for skills in design or coding. It's how every minute of every day a new seller makes their first sale with Shopify.
What is your favourite UK-based business that's found success with Shopify?
It's got to be Gymshark. They have grown massively thanks to Shopify. Now it's your turn to start selling today with Shopify for free.
And thanks to 24/7 support, Shopify is there to help you every step of the way.
Sign up for a free 14-day trial at shopify.co.uk/Sean, S-H-A-U-N. Go to shopify.co.uk/Sean right now to grow your business today.
So that's shopify.co.uk/Sean, S-H-A-U-N.
Thank you for supporting our sponsor.
And I've like obviously been booked in and that, and they've took me through and they've asked me loads of questions, asking me coming games, and they've asked me all this other stuff. Have you ever been to prison before? Do you feel suicidal? Have you got any money? And then they give you like this little welcome pack with like baccy in it. Back in the day it was matches. I know they didn't have lighters then, so it was like a welcome pack with a little chew it sweet in it in the little pack. And I thought, wow, this is alright. This is like, do you know what I mean? I've got baccy. I ain't had a fag for days, you know. And then instantly, whilst I'm in this room, there's a scrap that's like torn out outside the room. Someone got whacked over the head with a snooker cue, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, like this is mental. So I thought, is this what this is going to be about? Because you haven't got an option to run anywhere in jail if you was a runner. You know, I've never been a runner, and I don't think I'll ever will be a runner. You know, but if you want that option to run, you ain't running. You've got to actually keep your nut down. Like, keep your nut down and don't get yourself in any trouble. But what happened were, I liked it that much, I kept going back. How much that?
Well, how old are you at this point?
Just turned 18.
Just a serious young offenders.
Yeah, why? I went back there not so long back and they've knocked it down.
Oh.
Yeah, quite weird. I'll get to that in a bit. But
So you was addicted to the drugs, hardcore, you go into prison. Are you still getting the fix in the prison, or are you going cold turkey?
Prison time for me was clean time. So what happened was that back in the day, they used to give you these DF118s, like the ibuprofen tablets, and you do your cold turkey on them. Being in prison for me was like being outside anyway, because most of my friends was in jail. So when I'd go onto this ring, it was Unit 15, and that was the induction ring, and if you're lucky, you can stay on there, and you can smash your sentence. But if you're not lucky, you go to Unit 1 or 2, with when you're sentenced. If you're not sentenced, you go to 12 or 14. 12 was just literally Beirut. Like, it was ruthless on there. Luckily for me, I managed to pull off and get an open jail on that sentence because it was a minor sentence. And I was only in Glenparva at that point for about 3 weeks. And I my sentence up in Hatfield in Doncaster, where it's HMP Moreland's open prison now, but it was Hatfield back in the day. So when I had a touch of that, I was thinking, what, jail is nothing to be worried about. So when I'd got out of there, I didn't care if I went back. In fact, actually, I was better off in jail. I was eating, rent-free, eating 3 big meals a day. You're getting paid to go and do education. I know it's only 50p a bloody session or something, but you're getting paid to do education, you know, just get out of your cell. What have I got from me out here? And that's what kept happening from there. Yeah.
So you would rebuild in the jail and get out and go back to the drugs. Is that how it was working?
Within probably about 6 months.
Yeah.
Because what it is, like, there's no rehabilitation in jail. Yeah? And there's a lot of people that do say, oh, yeah, rehabilitate. People don't get rehabilitated in jail. Now, the option for people to be rehabilitated in prison is solely down to you. Yeah? You have to rehabilitate yourself. So you've got officers that are there to do their jobs, which is to open your door, talk to you if you need a razor or a toilet roll, and put you back in your door again. Simple. So the rehabilitation sides of it, if you need to learn education, your basic skills, you know, basic maths, English, etc., you go out and do that. If you want to do an art course or a college course or a drug awareness course or a relapse prevention course, you go and do that. If you don't do none of this stuff, well, the chances of you being rehabilitated is pretty slim. But then everyone blames the prison service because there's no rehabilitation in the jail. They can't rehabilitate someone that don't want to be rehabilitated. Do you know what I mean?
That come from within.
Exactly, yeah. And that was my motto on it. So even though I did go back to prison, it wasn't because I wasn't rehabilitated, it's because I had nothing outside me. So I felt safer and better in there. So I'd go out and do offences on purpose.
Did you ever sign that? Your first
Yeah, but I kicked him out after time.
Ow.
Yeah,
Fair.
I've done that a few times. But sometimes you get stinky ones, you know?
Oh, they're the
Yeah,
worst.
they're the worst. So you get the
Yeah.
ones that's like also, you know, they're sweaty feet
Oh.
and snorers and stuff like that. So when you go out for your dinner, you make sure you get out quick. So you'll get your dinner, you'll walk back up with your dinner and get his stuff quickly out whilst he's still down in the queue, slam the door, and then he comes back and he's like, oh, you put all my stuff outside, you ain't coming back in this cell. And I'm telling him, if the screw comes and says that, I'm going to tell him I'm going to hurt you. So then they can't put him in anyway. So if you say I'm going to harm him, if he comes back in this cell, they've got a safeguard and they can't come back in the cell. Done that a few times. Yeah.
What was your favourite job?
My favourite job was engineering. Yeah, engineering. And I did like the kitchen. Get a lot of food in the kitchens, you know. But I'd engineering, I was trying to get a trade. And I was doing powder painting. So like all the screws, lockers and that. So are they really nice and shiny? Well, I was doing the powder painting on them. So you put them through like a furnace, really hot furnace. So you powder paint it, put it in. It's on like a conveyor belt and it goes round in a circle. And it goes through this furnace of like really hot heat. And then it comes back round and then it's nice and shiny.
When you said your first sentence was a cat D,
Hmm.
were you allowed out for the day?
No, not at that time because my sentence was because I couldn't get the rottle because I was so early. Because it was only like a 4-month sentence, it was pointless. I wouldn't get a rottle. You have to be there. I think it's like a 6-month lie down. So you be there for 6 months. Obviously, then the risk factor then goes down. Then you can start applying for your rottles and get your day releases.
I understand.
So yeah, but I went back there a few times.
Yeah?
Yeah, to Hatfield. Yeah.
What was the second offence?
The second offence was burglary. Yeah.
That one.
That was a drug dealer's house, and he snitched. How ironic. Crazy, isn't it? But the thing was, we did this job for someone else. And I was the little guy that was sent to knock on the door of this guy. I don't even know who it is. So when I've knocked on the door, this guy has answered the door. Big bald head, 18 stone, huge man, and I've like looked up at him and I was like, hello, and he's literally grabbed me straight away. He knew what was happening, and luckily my pals had come running around, and that was when the coshes started coming out back then, and they literally coshed him up, coshed him. His eye was hanging out and everything. He got really bashed up. So as that's happening, I've climbed over him. So I've climbed over him to go into the house, and he's got all these drugs and money and stuff on the table and that, and we're like, this is coming. But I was a really greedy guy, so I wanted his TV, his DVD player, like, I wanted everything. So seriously. So the guy was a messy guy. So I've got OCD, and his wires was all tangled up together behind the TV. So I'm literally there trying to get all these bloody wires out from this TV, trying to undo it, and he's crawling in like. And I'm looking like, and I'm trying to hurry up because he's getting closer to me. You know, my pals, I don't know where they've gone. And I'm pulling these wires out, and I've leant on the windowsill. And it weren't that kind of a burglary to wear gloves. You know, we was doing a drug dealer. So I've leant onto the windowsill and like stamped him off of me, and he managed to get him off of me, but I left the fingerprint on the windowsill. Rocky mistake, that, innit?
Definitely.
So yeah, so that ended up getting me in jail for a bit of a bigger sentence. And that's when I went. I was in Glen Parva again, and then they put me back into Hatfield jail, but it was just about being changed to Moorlands, because Moorlands has got a lifer jail a little bit further up. It's got Lindholm next door to it. I don't know if you know Doncaster, and it's got 2 jails next to it: BCAT, CCAT, and ACAT. And when I was in there, I was working in the kitchens at the time, and it was mixed YOIs and adults together. So adults are on their wing and YOIs are on their wing, but you work together, you gym together, like everything's together. And I'm someone that gels with older people. I've always been drawn to older people. And there was this one adult prisoner in there that was doing a lot with weed and steroids. So I started taking tablet steroids, and the grounds of me taking the tablet steroids from him for free was if I was to sell weed. So I agreed. And I thought, yeah, cool. I'll sell a bit of weed for you. And that's what I did. So I was serving up the weed in little shots. Back then it was like £2 phone cards. I used to have racks of them underneath my bed. Because we have like little slats under the bed, because they're like squared slats going under the bed. And I used to make little imprints underneath so I could push the phone cards into the slats. So there was continually phone cards underneath my bed. And so this kid come off road that and I knew him very, very well. And he wanted some weed, and I gave him a couple of spliffs, and he only owed me about 46 quid. It weren't even anything amazing. And Canteen Day was coming, so an Aramark was coming. I think it was called Aramark. Aramark. And they was obviously coming. And he didn't pay me my debt. So I'm kicking off and I'm shouting out the window like, you fucking need my money. Like, I need it tomorrow. I need the phone cards, or I need like cookies or fucking chocolate biscuits or something, you know? Like, that's how he paid it. It was minor. And he grasped me up. So I've been work. I've got 16 wraps in my pocket. I didn't know he grasped me up, obviously. So I've got like 16 wraps in my pocket. I've gone to work as usual. And I've seen the security screws coming into the kitchen, and instantly I just had this gut feeling that they're coming for me, and they did. So they took me out the back into the area where we get changed into our kitchen gear, and they wanted to search me. Well, obviously I'm bang to rights. I know I've got all them wraps in my pocket.
Previously, before this, what was your sentence?
18 months.
Okay. So yeah, they searched you, they found this product all over you.
Found it over me and took me straight out on a bus to Morelands, which was their closed side. ACAT, murderers, like, yeah. So at that point, I've heard so much about Morelands, I weren't happy that I was going to Morelands. Like, literally, I was, no way. Like, I was panicking, and I've done jail, yeah, and I was panicking about going there. So the whole time I was on the bus there, it was only about a 10-minute journey, and I was literally pantsing it. Like, oh my God, like, I'm literally going into a ruthless jail. So I've walked in, and I thought, this don't seem too bad, really. Polite and all that. Hello, like, you know, what do you cover? You see, a bit of cannabis every year. Like, how long you got left? I had about 7 months left. So it weren't like I've only got like a week left or something. Like, I've still got a bit of time. And another guy that was in our, it was a guy from Florida, Tampa Bay. Can't remember his name. And he ended up being my pad mate. So we got onto the wing, and literally, so it was literally read a book, talk to your pad mate, fight with your pad mate, or just go to sleep. That's how it were.
Could get rid of him then.
No, but he was really annoying, that one. But he was fun to have around, you know. He was doing these weird things with towels and that, like rubbing his afro and that, and getting these little balls coming up on his hair. I thought he was a proper strange kid, but it was all right. It was quite fun, you know. So I've gone for a shower. And when I've gone for a shower, I'm showering away, and there's this geezer over there. And got me very up now, and like kept me boxer shorts. So when I first went to I made a rookie mistake by taking boxer shorts in the shower. And I got told off a few times by the inmates, like, you don't take boxer shorts. I'm not really. That's what you do when you have a shower. Yeah. But no, you keep your boxer shorts on, you know what I mean? Like, from then on, you keep your boxer shorts on. And so he's showering over there, and I'm just cleaning myself. And this massive black man came into the shower. And I've like looked round, he's looked at me, he's gone like that. I'm like, all right. And I've continued to shower, and then the screams was just ear-piercing screams, and he's literally slicing this geezer up, like, in the shower. He must have been done about 30 times around his back, his legs, like razor blade and that. And obviously blood to water, it looks like there would have been a lot of blood anyway. There's really thin slices because it was razor blade, but the blood was everywhere. And as I've like turned around, I can see what's going on. He's like looked at me and was like, "Don't fucking say anything." Obviously, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna say a word. Like, that ain't happening to me, bro. So I've literally gone in my cell. I didn't even dry myself properly. I even left my clothes in the shower. So I've gone back in the room, and I'm like literally pure white. And the American kid was like, "What's up with you, man?" Like, and I was like, "You don't even want to know." Alarms go off. So the screws have obviously found out what's happened. So I told my pad mate that this guy's just come in and literally just served this guy right up. And I didn't say anything, obviously. And when I went down on the exercise the next day, him and all of his pals was over in the corner, and they've all pulled me over. And I flapped it, thinking, oh no, they're going to think that I've grassed or something, because I've never grassed in my life. And like, obviously, if something like that happens, they don't know who I am, you know. But they knew that I didn't grass. And then after that, I had respect, and I had a lot of stuff handed to me on a plate for the rest of my 8-month sentence. So it actually was quite good as a prison, to be fair, you know, when I had respect from a few people in there.
Do you know what that beef had been over?
Yeah.
You what?
What the beef was over, the slashing. Do you know what it was? What caused it?
Apparently,
Oh.
I said the word. Yeah.
What happened to him?
He got shipped off. Medical. His arse and all that was done. Yeah, you know what it's like when you get your arse done. You've got to lay down for a long time. You know? So he was cut up really bad. Really, really.
Did anyone else get done in during the time you were there?
No, my next door neighbour hung himself. Yeah, he was mentally unstable though. And he was shouting out all the time at night time. Like, he was always shouting out. And he'd be shouting out, shut up. You know, 'cause where there's no TVs, there's nothing to keep you occupied at all. So that's all you can do in a YOI jail is shout out the windows at your next doors or downstairs, or you're terrorising that person, this person or that person, you know, because you've got to fill your time up until you can try it. So he was always continually shouting out and pressing his bell, pressing his bell, which was annoying. Yeah, and he took his own life. Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah, it's quite deep, yeah. But then, you know, my life is like again back on drugs, yeah, on and off drugs. And then I had a third strike charge where the third strike rule came in. And that had nothing to do with me either, but I took the rap on it. And it was the same judge that had given me another sentence. And this sentence was going to be a bigger one.
So you come out, you're back on the drugs, living in a hostel. What happens?
I was homeless now after
Okay.
this, yeah. So this is jumping into like the 20s because nothing really significant happened from there apart from just continual drug use. And what happened was a commercial burglary was done. It was nothing to do with me, but when the police come and raided the property that I was at, the credit cards were still there. So where the credit cards were still there, I'd held one of these credit cards, not knowing what the credit card were. So my fingerprint is now on the credit card and they're tying me to this burglary that had nothing to do with me. So I got remanded, but I was due to go to rehab. And I lost my placement in rehab because I got remanded. So I was on remand for about 13 months. And when I went for sentencing, luckily for me, my solicitor and my drugs worker was still fighting for me to get another placement in rehabilitation. And that's what happened. So when I went for sentencing, I didn't get sentenced. I did get sentenced, but I got sent to rehab. So they gave me a 9-month placement in rehab with a 3-month order and a 3-year ASBO from Nottingham. So where I was not allowed to go to Nottingham for 3 years.
Wow.
That was that much of a problem. And if I was to break that, I'll get 7.5 years.
How was it?
So all the stuff that we discussed at the beginning, I had to talk about all that. Initially, I was angry and I was threatening everybody, staff included, and the staff that watch my stuff on social media that I still talk to, they'll know, like, I was very angry. But I'm not going to say it was difficult at the beginning, but I think about 2 or 3 months into it, I went with the program and I completed. Well, I say I completed, that's a lie. I basically got kicked out 2 weeks before I was due to complete because I was drinking alcohol. But I weren't into alcohol, I was an heroin addict, I didn't have an alcohol problem, you know. So I was coming out of myself more and I was knowing who I were. So I was going out to the pubs and stuff. I was in the second part of the entry of it where you're free to come and go as you please. And I was sitting outside the pub having a drink with someone on the beach. And someone from the house had fed me back to the stuff that I was out drinking and they kicked me out. So once they kicked me out, I'm homeless. And another lad that I knew was staying in a B&B place. And I went and moved in with him. Walked in on him smoking heroin and I relapsed again.
Oh, no.
Quite quickly. Yeah, so that had me for a good couple of years. And then I managed to sort myself out. Yeah, but my granddad was dying of Alzheimer's at the time. And I was looking after my granddad and helping my mum and my auntie. And I got a job as a carer. with my criminal record, obviously quite extensive. And this police officer, I was constantly, I got, you know, when we was talking about like the things you get arrested for, something that was really petty.
Yeah.
Well, I was in a co-op, right? And this is how much of a kleptomaniac I am. So I was literally in a co-op, had money, and I went and I bought something in the co-op, and at the corner of my eye, I spot a cheesecake in the freezer. And I thought, oh, I'll have a cheesecake. So I've gone to the freezer and I've got a cheesecake out and I put it in my jacket. Don't know why I did it, because I had money. So as I've done that, there was mirrored windows and there was 2 coppers standing outside the window and saw me put it in my jacket. So as I've gone to walk out, the 2 coppers have now come walking towards me and they was like, what's in your jacket? And I'm like, please just let me pay for it. It's only $1.99. And I got nicked for the cheesecake and went up to court for $1.99 cheesecake. But from doing that, the police now of East Sussex know that Cole Scott is in their area. So all my, obviously, my stuff on their systems and stuff is pretty bad with my affiliations and this and that. And I'd love to go into a lot of more detail of my affiliations, but I have to be really careful. But they saw everything about me on there and they're thinking, whoa, like, we've got someone here now that's done some mad stuff. So they followed me around everywhere. So I got my driving license, they pulled me over. I drove up the road, they pulled me over again. I go to Sainsbury's to get some shopping. They pull me over. I've got no insurance. So I got a job as a carer. So as I pulled up waiting for this double call, this police officer was pulled up, just doing his routine checks and all that, and he saw me in my uniform. He was like, oh, have you got a job doing that then? I was like, well, I've changed. No, I've turned my life around. And he was like, well, I don't know about that. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, I have. I've changed. I'm telling you now, I've changed. I've sorted myself out. Leopards never change their spot. But they fucking leopard has, you know? Leave me alone. So he's gone to my care place and wanted to see my application form. Now, the care place made a bit of boo-hoo. Because I've been in and out of prison and I've been homeless, my DBS took ages. So they couldn't pinpoint me, right? But they still took me on. So I worked there for over 9 months with no DBS. That's their option, right? But I passed the POVA check, which is another check, yeah? So I passed that one, the DBS didn't come back. They employed me anyway, right? And I had a really good bloody job and I had a good list. I had a good load of old people on me. I loved every one of them. I'd walk in there in the morning, I'd be like, oh, you wanted to mash your... I was a right little lovable rogue, you know? Morning, I'd be like, oh, come on, wake 7 o'clock in the morning and that. I'd just literally like right the fire, you know? Like they was loving it. So I really enjoyed that job, but because of that, like, he chased up the DBS for me and it got chased back and then they sacked me a week later.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was gutted.
He had it out.
Yeah, do you know what? As mad as it sounds, I'm not to be friends with him now. It's crazy that, isn't it? Yeah, it's no offense for it. Like, yeah, but you know, he knows me. Like, I'm good friends with him. He actually shook my hand a couple of years back and he said that I'm sorry for being such a dickhead. And I was like, mate, I fully accepted that. I'm a grown man. I take full responsibility for my shit, and I know you're doing your job. So you know, so it's just one of them ones. But because of that, I ended up selling drugs again. I had a family to provide for, and I started serving coke up, which then led back onto serving up heroin and crack cocaine.
Were you back on it?
Nah, stayed away from it at that point.
What stopped you from going back on?
I don't know, to be fair. I'd had enough at that point, and I was pretty comfortable. I had a job. I'd got kids now. I'd had 2. I had my eldest. So I had children, yeah. And I think that was the little bit of a wake up call for me. But then that relationship broke down. So, you know, when that relationship broke down, I'd lost my job. It broke down for other different reasons, you know. I moved over to Hastings and I set up a cocaine line over there. And I literally found pieces with cocaine. And there was a kid that got into a bit of a scrap outside Yates's. And I literally got with doing that. But it was just something that I've drawn back into again. You know what I mean? Get a phone and just go and buy yourself some stuff and go in the pub and give your number out.
The guy who was that left the woods. Not to do with
That's bad.
Who was it? James.
Yeah. You can tell we've done 3 podcasts today. But, yeah, he's a bit of a
Yeah. So he gave us the details on how he did all that. Yeah.
It's not hard. It's quite easy to set up a line, really.
His thing was you got to get in with the locals.
Yeah.
All as it is you just. I'm not even going to say because I'm kind of glamorizing it, so that's not what I'm trying to do. But I'm just like, it's not hard. It was pretty easy for me to do. Yeah, and I mean because I've had experience doing it before in the past, I knew what to do anyway. And I did know a few people already out and about. And the minute that word gets around from one person, 2 people's got it, 3 people, 4, but 5 people, and in the end, you've got a whole line, you know. So I did that for a while, but there was a kid that was getting into a scrap, and I helped this kid in a scrap because his friends ran away and left him again, and I helped this kid out. He offered me a bit of work a week later, harder drugs. So I left the coke thing to another friend of mine. Said, "Well, you take that. I'm going to go and deal with this because it's more money." And I started selling heroin and crack cocaine again on County Line.
What took you to Hastings in the first place?
I only lived next door to Hastings and Bexhill, which is a 7-mile drive. So Bexhill and Hastings are together, and I knew someone over in Hastings. So when I'd left Bexhill, I moved to Hastings, and that's where I started basically doing all my stuff. So I got back involved in criminality again.
Okay.
Yeah, fighting, scrapping in the clubs. I lost Yates' late license for causing a 25-man pile-up.
Quite an achievement.
Yeah, I was buzzing, yeah. I'm not going to lie. But do you know what it were? I was sticking up for a pal of mine that got grabbed up by this geezer. Workman, I think it was from Coventry, all these boys. They had a weird accent. And he grabbed up my pal. And I was literally out on a dirty Thursday in a traffic holding a pint of Stella. So I've seen this happen. I've literally dropped a pint and gone over. Bang! Whacked him up. And then I've just been jumped on by loads of grown, bally men. So I'm having a go with all these blokes, and I'm underneath them, and my Albanian pal pulls me from underneath. He's like, "You're crazy," and I'm like, "Yeah, all right, mate, I'm gonna go." As soon as he turned his back, I'm straight back in the middle of him again, like small man syndrome. So I've literally gone off on these guys, and the pals that I'd helped out was halfway down the road. So there's like 20 man fighting outside Yates's that's caused by him. And apparently he told this guy to go sock his mum, and his mum had died about a week later. So that's why he grabbed him up. Obviously, I'm not going to ask questions, you know what I mean? So a friend that I weren't even out with, basically I got put down on the floor in the coca hole, and this is my other pal. I got the keys and broken doing it. Got me out of the situation, and the people it was down the road. And then that was basically putting a little bit of attention on me, really. All the scrapping that I was doing, I was making a name for myself, and on the cover was watching me with the drugs.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So I got on the cover doing me on the seafront. Like, come and did my car, pulled me over in the car, and smashed on the car, and caught me with 18 and 4 and a few hundred quid in cash and my mobile phone with about 60, 70 grams worth of messages.
One way to do it.
Yeah. Damn BlackBerry. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Was it BBB?
Yeah, BB babes. So I got done again, attempted to die. So obviously I got myself through. And that took me to Lewis. I went to Lewis and Holdenley. Yeah. So then again, I'm involved in there, getting spice parcels, all 39 letters that screws can't open by law. You've got the lazy screws. Yeah, that's, I had some guy, there was a guy in jail, Keith, his name was, rest in peace. He was really bad on the old spice and that. And he's come out and he's I'm like, "Hey, you alright?" Right, no, go back to the cell and chill out because the screws are still down the right. He's like, no, don't tell the screws you've been smoking spice. So anyway, he went down and told the screws he'd been smoking spice. They've frog marched him back up the stairs again and put him in his cell and locked him up. We could hear some weird noises coming from his cell and some squeaking noises. He's bouncing up and down on his bed. Gone on a mad phase in his head. He's literally slipped off of his bed, fell into the crack of his chair in his bed and broke his neck.
Oh.
Dead.
What?
So we're all shouting out of our door. We told the screws, they've literally just come up to the cell and they're just looking at him through the flap. Just looking at him. And we're like, open the door, you need to help him, you need to help him. We've all got banged up, bang up. Doors have gone. And the minute that they found out that the ambulance service was now on the wing, they opened the door and tried pulling him out the cell. Bearing in mind, that was about 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, died, broke his neck. I don't think they would have been able to save his life anyway, but come on, man, you could have tried.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You could have tried, but they didn't. That Spice is crazy stuff.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
You either go like a zombie or just, absolutely erratic.
Yeah.
So.
So the guards bringing it in at that place.
Lewis, they do in Lewis. I can't say who,
Yeah.
but they do in Lewis, yeah. Coldenley, they've just got lazy screws. A couple of screws always moaning about gout and that, you know, like, so they can't be bothered to walk up the stairs and all this. Do you know what I mean? Just pure lazy screws, so we just get on with it. Like, there's times we can be just sitting there on our beds on our mobile phones, just chilling, talking to whoever. The screws will just pop their head in. As long as there's not 10 of you in there, they don't care. So, you know what I mean? They're not bothered whatsoever. So and then you're getting your parcels coming through. You can get like a Q or half ounce of Spice in a Rule 39 letter, all padded in properly and nicely. You don't even get picked up. You go and pick up your letter from the office and off you go upstairs, open it, and there's like 4 or 5 grand in one envelope.
No brainer.
Did you have problems like collecting debts or did people try and rob you?
So you had a lot of respect in there.
I wouldn't say respect. Look, I'm not a big man, am I? You know, it's not about having respect. Like, I carry myself well, and it's not the fact that like I'm always with the right people. And when I was in Coldenley, I was friends with the lifers. I had a really good friend of mine. He was in for a doorstep murder, and his pal went QE on him and went evidence on him, and he did the shooting for his mate. So that just shows you about your pals. Do you know what I mean? So he was really good. Like, I was in with some good people, so no one was coming anywhere near me. I had a couple of yards as well. He was in for triple murder. So like,
Any notorious killers?
nah, he's been extradited back to Jamaica now. So you won't know. If I'll send you the link to his newspaper article.
Yeah, please do.
I'll send you both.
Have you been incarcerated with anyone famous?
Teacher that hunted the kids, the girls, in uniform.
Oh.
Remember that guy? Yeah. He was teaching in the education department. He was actually alright. He was actually alright. I'm not condoning his behaviour, but I look at his behaviour a little bit more deeply than what's going to be pressed out, because I've had a conversation with him, and it's not as in depth and intense as what they're making out. There's more to it than he's just a nonce, you know. Yeah, well, obviously he was with a young girl, and that's like unacceptable, very unprofessional the way he's going to school, you know, student-wise and stuff like that. But he was a man that was a bit, I'd say, mentally unstable and fell in love with a real young girl. But the young girl was obviously also fell in love with him. They've been entwined in a relationship with one another, and that's how it had been. Obviously, it's wrong from his point of view, his age, his job, and her. You can put it to the on the other side of it that she could have been possibly manipulated or groomed into that fact. Who knows? But in the jail, when I'd seen him in the jail, he was literally like a broken shell of that's not the place where he should be. If you look at people, you can tell prison's for you or prison's not for you. Prison's not for him, basically.
Did people try and attack him?
No. If you do that, you're in serious trouble. I was on an IT course, right, and we call it PickTop. And it was an IT course, and I went and did this because I was cracking computers. If I was looking for the letter W, I'd be there for about 20 minutes trying to find W. Now I'm like this, but I was sat on this row here, and there was a row there, and I had an old bloke there in a wheelchair. I had this skinny, like, boulder computer there, and I had a Canadian guy at the end. So this guy, this old bloke, was continually laughing, and he was really winding me up. So I had these headphones, and I could listen to Adele, like music. So I wasn't accepting the fire and rain. I can't remember the tune, you know what I mean? So I used to listen to that one. I could still hear him laughing. And I said to my pal, I was like, man, it's slapping. It's really annoying me. Why is he so happy? And like, that sounds bad, doesn't it? And he was like, do you know what he's in for? I was like, what's he in for? And he was like, the reason why he's in that wheelchair is because his son found out that he was not to fight with his kids. I was like, what? I was like, I can't do anything. I was like, what do you mean? You do anything. You're there. You've got to be really careful. They are very protective. So I was thinking, wow. So now I've literally been sitting face to face with this guy for about a week, and he's done that to 5 of his own kids, and he's in the wheelchair because his son found out and basically put him in the wheelchair. I'd have done more than that.
Yeah.
And the guy next to him was in for killing his mum. But he went through a lot of abuse as a child, and I think at this other point he couldn't cope with it anymore and he killed her. And then the Canadian guy at the
Jesus Christ.
yeah.
It's like monster.
Almost did about it.
Bear in mind, I've got sexual abuse of my own. But it wasn't worth the actual assaulting them, because you'd have been in more trouble than what they are in currently. So, yeah.
Any more funny prison stories from that one?
Funny prison stories. No, not really.
No, you just got on with your time.
I got on with my time on that. I obviously got a bit of wheeling and dealing and stuff. I had my own shop. So I was, yeah, and people ticking double bubbles and you've got to make some money somehow, do you know what I mean? Because like, you listen, you go into prison, if you've got nothing in your private cash, you're literally peppered. And and then you get your canteen sheet for at the end of the week when it's due, and it says like £3.70. £3.70 don't even hardly get you a shower gel, you know. So you have to try and do things to make your own ends meet, because if you ain't got family to be sending you any money in, you need to make your own money. And you know, when I have to make my own money. You have to. There's no way around it at all. You can do your little education job. It's probably going to pull you in £5-6 a week. When you could smoke tobacco in there, that's basically your canteen sheet gone. Just on that ½ ounce of tobacco that's got to last you that whole week, which it wouldn't. Now it's vapes, but what are you going to eat? Your tuna and your biscuits and your noodles and your coffee, and you need to make money.
Side hustle, yeah.
So I set myself up a shop.
What was your favourite canteen items?
Chocolate digestive, tuna, noodles, and cookies. So the cookies, there was 59p a pack, and you could buy 10 packs of them. You buy 10 packs of them and shop them 10 packs out. You've got 20 packs back. So now you've got double that. So then people are going to continue still keep coming to you to get it. Now you've got 30 packs, 40 packs, 50 packs. So you've literally got a box under your bed that's supposed to be for your bed sheets and your shoes, filled with food. So everyone's coming to your cell. So we had like a toaster and a kettle and that on the end of our wing. So we was like making like toast, tuna toast. We was heads. We was like training hard. We got people coming up and down our stairs. So every Saturday, we're roaming down the stairs, going to that cell, looking at that. Like you always, their bag's already ready to go. So then we're going upstairs, sorting it out. It's all going in my box, and we're ready for next week. And then because people are constantly getting themselves in debt, they're back and back and back and back, and that's how it is. It's just it continually goes round. So yeah,
'cause it's once a week, isn't it? You can get your store
once a week.
So by the time store days like almost there, everyone's desperate and needs to get anything, and then they'll pay you back double.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have a cellmate at this point? A cellmate?
No, this single bang up.
You got rid of him?
Yeah, no, it was just single bang up anyway. I prefer it. I'm good with my own company.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time in jail, and like my own company is I enjoy my own company. Mentally, I can do with it pretty well. To be fair, quite
You're
comfortable.
like that as
It's not
well,
nice
aren't
living
you?
in a room that's a toilet basically with another person shitting and farting and wanking and everything else.
Politely put.
They can crack on and wank all their. We'll have a competition. You know what I mean? Like,
Take that to the shower.
We used to have to put tissue up on the window, because you get them little glass, like the glass windows there. If you want to have a bash and all that, you just put a bit of tissue up on there. Like you close your door too, and then if you hear the flap go, when you're halfway in between, you're like. You go quiet for a minute, and then the flap goes again. You're like, and you just continue, and you just crack on. You know, like it's so dirty, isn't it?
Did you go out on dates?
Yeah, what, in jail? Who with?
In America, going on a date is when you go to shower with a picture of your bird in the plastic and you wrap.
Oh
you
no,
tape it
no,
on
that's
all, yeah.
cracy stuff, that isn't it? Like that's
Yeah,
a
that's
little,
not-
that's a little bit too role play. That for me, mate. Yeah, that's yeah. I'll leave that to you, mate. We know what shot that one gets up
That's
to.
that's the American attitude.
Yeah, no, yeah. But did you get yourself a girlfriend?
I had a female visiting me.
Was it a female though?
Yeah, yeah.
Why?
No, but that's good. Like, he's been in America, isn't he? You know what I mean? We don't have that kind of thing in the UK. Well, we probably do, but they're secret.
Did you have visitors?
Well, not that kind of visitors, no.
No, but who would come visit you in your prison?
Never really anybody. I weren't bothered about visitors, to be fair. Phone calls was all I because I had a mobile phone, so I would just kick back and I'd just text all night, or I'd just. What about your missus and kids? I wasn't with my missus and kids at that time. Yeah, I've been with my missus 9 years. So I met my missus the day I got out of prison. She wasn't my missus then. She was my missus 2 months later.
So the day you got released.
She picked me up. She was with a scummy kid, and I hope you're watching it because he's a knobber. But she was with some scummy kid, but he was my little runner. And not that I grew him or exploited him, he knew what he was doing, you know what I mean? He was peppered. But he had her, so he come and picked me up from jail. He owed me a lot of money at the time, he got laid in. I was still in a bad mindset then. And he was with her. She's a bit alright. So I ended up, I got recalled back to jail. I was only out for 48 hours or something. I was out for 48 hours. I did go to the address that I was supposed to go to. I lied to the address and they stitched me up saying, oh, you're not come out. Oh, Rennie. I was out the day before. So I tried to get out the day before. So 48 hours later, straight back to Lewis again for another month. So I went out long. And then within that time, they picked me again. So then within he's then turned side and stabbed himself up, tried to stab me in the leg, did this and that, was like beating up his dead missus, but my missus now. And I basically saved her from that, and I saved her life on that. And near the end of my life, she got done in the neck. So he's then been pushed out. I'm there cleaning up the floor and their flat. And I think it's also a different side to me, like for someone to get down on their hands and knees and clean someone else's claret up off the floor after everything that's gone on. I stayed with her then for a couple of weeks, and then from then we've been together ever since.
That is one hell of a love story.
I don't think she'll agree with that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, we've had our
Disney.
problems. Yeah, no, yeah, we've had our problems like every relationship, you know, like, and most of it's caused by me, you know. I've taken drugs, and even though like with the heroin and stuff like that, I left that alone. But I had some mental health problems, you know? I was sniffing a lot of coke and I had a living. My mental health. I was self-medicating with diazepams from someone that I knew was sending me 1,000 diazepam at a time, and that tramadols. I was eating them like Smarties. I was in severe pain and I was doing chemotherapy. I had to do an injection once a week and I had to have 3 massive pills every day. It sent me literally off the rails, and I did end up relapsing on heroin for about 3 months. But that was 5 years ago. I made a point of stopping. Social services got involved, obviously. And when you get told by somebody that you can no longer see your kids anymore, that's a little bit of a different story for me. You know, like I didn't want that, and my boy, he was exotic.
So that wasn't the last time you were in prison.
Yeah, that was the last time.
That was.
Yeah, when I got out after that recall from that sentence in 2013, I got out, and I've never been back since. But, you know, I still was doing a little bit of silly things in between that, you know. But sort of 5 years ago was when I made that change to turn my life around. And I decided to go and ask for help this time. And I went to a drug service and I asked for help. And I attended a service, a support group.
What, like NA?
Nah, not for me, mate. They're not my cup of tea. Them. It was like a SMART group. They're called SMART, and I did start to use this group, but I thought the group could be a little bit better. I'm always someone that thinks about some stuff, and I think about how I can make things better. I've got really bad OCD. You'll tell you. I go into real bad detail with everything, right? To the time, to how to do things, and that's how I am, right? I've been like it for years. And I was just thinking, oh, well, we could do it like this, and we could put this together, that, and I did it, and that's what happened. So I ended up then running the support group I was using, and I volunteered for the service I got help from, and then I got a job with them, and then that's where my employment history started. Instead of being a criminal drug dealer, I'm now doing things professionally, and at that time I was helping kids voluntarily. Which resulted in me working on the biggest early intervention program in our area at that time, for 2 years, working with kids, helping them get away from gangs, county lines and exploitation. So that put me on the ladder. So I was doing a lot of anti-knife crime work and going into schools and doing workshops with schools, talking to kids, doing role plays with them and how they can remove themselves away from gangs without saying no.
How do you?
Make up as many excuses as you can. The thing is with gangs and county lines, they're looking for quality people, yeah? And if they, like the kids in jail, for example, the ones that are performing outside the local McDonald's in the pub, if you've got a kid that, if you call a kid over, you're trying to interact with a child, and they continually say to you, oh, sorry, I can't really talk at the moment, I need to go and walk the dog, my mum's phone. But I can't, and then my mum needs me back, I need to babysit for my sister. You're continually mentioning your family, so if you go missing, that's a little bit bait for you, so that kid's no good to you. So that's why I say to them, it's so simple for you to get out of that without saying no. Just make up an excuse, because the more excuses you make, if you're going to go missing, that's too much trouble for them. They'll just move on to somebody else, which they're going to do anyway. And that's how I used to do it, and I got these kids coming up, and it was kids that was quite surprising that was getting up. These there was like the kids that actually got up there just been through that same scenario, and they do through that, I mean, the whole weed and stuff. And it was surprising these kids got up. So from that kid now doing that role play with my work that I've done, so you know, this stuff does actually work, and that's why I now do what I do. So that then pushed me on to, you know, I helped 77 kids in the space of 2 years. I then moved on and worked and ran a behaviour unit in secondary school. I had that unit to actually sort it out because I built up a massive support of kids in a couple of weeks, just because of the way that I am. From doing that, I then start with my lives to help other people on social media, on Instagram, doing talks with people for cannabis addiction, PTSD, people from the army, knife crime agencies, drug charities, mental health charities, and I'd started doing this through lockdown. And because obviously lockdown, people need people to talk to, and I think having face-to-face interaction with people instead of not being able to see people because they're not allowed out, it's really like it's good for their well-being. So I did that, and I gave people a platform to talk on my Instagram, and that started me off. So I then decided from there, all this stuff that I'm doing with kids and all the stuff to do with knife crime, why don't I film it and make something out of it for other people to see, so they've got a memory for themselves, yeah? So I put a lot of money into it. I don't get nothing under this back. It's the only thing I get back from it is like I get the enjoyment out of seeing people do this stuff. That's my enjoyment out of it. It's not about the money for me. And it got me to go out and meet some people, like, you know, mums that have lost their children to knife crime. I did one recently in Manchester. He only passed away in September. But I did a film. I filmed with her for the whole day. I filmed her doing a march through Manchester in Mero's name. Mero, rest in peace. Yeah, and now we're friends. And there's other people in Essex, Liam Taylor's grandparents. So there's Ricky. There's so many people I've been in contact from doing the stuff that I do on Knife Crime. And I have had people say to me, like with the clout chasing, like Paul was saying earlier, the clout chasing and clickbaiting. Like I don't understand where on hell I'm clout chasing or clickbaiting on anything, because these people's stories ain't about me. They're about them and their child, and the loss that they're having to go through because someone's made that decision to use a knife and take their kid's life. Yeah, well, I've done a couple of bits of filming on my own life, but I'm doing that for a reason, because then when kids look at my story of my prison journey, my abuse, the stuff to do with me as a kid, that might help a young person to want to reach out, to know that they're not the only person that's actually gone through that. And then they can reach out to me. You know, they can message me on my Instagram and say, I've seen your stuff on YouTube. I'm actually going through it. We've actually had one kid as well, didn't we? We had one kid as well reach out just from us doing a live. A kid from London, yeah.
What did he say?
Still talk to him now to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. About this stuff about adoption, I can't say too much because he's a bit young. It's not fair, but it's proof in the pudding that we do get people actually contacting us and we're doing things properly. I've spent about $4,000 in the last 4 months on stuff that I do, and I've just recently with that set up my own project called Project Youth, where I'm going out supporting kids, schools, filmings, one-to-ones, all via a project which I've got a sponsor for that's going to be putting money into my project, so I can go out and do all this stuff basically for free in a way, because the money that the price list that I've put within my stuff, that comes back into the project and straight back out, so it gets my travelling and etc. And I've just had my first booking for a school in Manchester for June.
Oh, congrats.
So, and that is all via Instagram.
Yeah.
So
social media is a powerful platform.
Yeah. So everything that we're doing is a positive thing. Myself and Paul, and obviously with Jamie, we're all and Wendy, our pal Wendy as well. We're all a really, really good team. We're all on the same message, and we all care exactly the same. And what we want to do is trying to save kids' lives, raise awareness for the parents, show these kids that life that I've just been discussing all throughout this podcast. It's not a life to have. Because the only thing that you're going to get from that is death or prison.
Yeah.
That's it. And if you get prison, the people that you've been doing that stuff with are not going to be there to write you a letter or come and visit you. You're left and forgotten. And I was just having that same conversation with a pal of mine that's just got out of Swellside to his CCAT. And he said exactly the same thing. He said, you know what, throughout my whole sentence that I've been in jail, you and another person are the only two people that have stayed in contact with me throughout the whole sentence. The rest of everybody else that said that they was going to be in contact, and when I phone them, they don't answer the phone. They know it's him calling. And this is my point. Yeah, it's just about being aware and knowing who you've got around you. And this is why, the people that I now surround myself with, I know we're tight and we're loyal. We've got a lot of time for each other, and we'll do anything to help and do what we can. And that's what we're doing.
You sound ridiculously busy.
Very.
What do you do? What do you do to relax?
Speak with Paul on FaceTime every day.
Yeah. You should see what I just seen then.
Yeah.
When we did.
It was like that, to be fair. He didn't even do it with his fist, did he? So relaxing wise, to be fair, I've got a day job as well. I'm a senior support worker for alcohol addiction. So
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I support vulnerable adults as well for my day job. And I do that 5 days a week. So my spare time, really, sometimes at the weekends I do get time off. So I'll spend time with the family and we'll go to the park and stuff like that. Or I'll do some digging that my missus has wanted me to do for 3 years and I've not done it. But, so yeah, there is some chill time. I don't really get much chill time, but it's not to the point where it drains me out, where it mentally makes me unwell for not having that. I'm quite comfortable with the life I've got. I'm happy with the life I've got and the way that it's going and the stuff that I'm doing and how much time I have for myself. I'm happy with. So I wouldn't change anything at all. Yeah, all good.
Would you say you're the happiest you've ever been in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I would do, yeah. Because I've been in some bad places.
Yeah.
And I think that's why now I've managed to succeed in doing. I've been 5 years clean.
Yeah.
I've not taken a drug in 5 years.
Not even at booze. Nothing.
Oh yeah, even alcohol once every couple of months or something, and even that I don't even finish the whole can, or the bottle, whatever I'm drinking. If I go for a roast on a Sunday, once in a blue moon, I'll have a pint with it. and I can't drink it all anyway. I don't really.
Right.
I'm not bothered. I've grew up with alcoholics most of my life. Like my mum passed away 2 years ago. She was an alcoholic, and that's how I've been. And this is my point, where I know that I am happy and I'm stable because I've had 3 deaths in the last 3 years. I've had my uncle die, who in the